Okay, so you sent over this article from the School of Life You Don't Need Closure, the Stoic Advice one.
Yeah, the one about emotional pain.
And it really grabbed me because, well, who hasn't felt that? After something ends, a relationship, whatever, that feeling of needing things wrapped up.
Absolutely. That need for answers, for it to make sense, it feels almost instinctive.
Right. So today, we're going to dive into this piece, really pull out the key stuff about this whole closure idea, maybe even rethink it a bit.
Definitely. And what's great about this article is how it uses Stoicism to question if chasing closure is always, helpful.
It kind of flips the script, doesn't it? Challenges that idea that closure is something someone else gives you.
Exactly. It's not a debt owed necessarily.
The article starts with that midnight ache description. Relatable stuff, replaying conversations, wishing for apologies.
The things left unsaid.
But then, bam, it hits you with Epictetus. Freedom is the only worthy goal, won by disregarding things beyond our control.
Okay. So let's unpack that. Why does Stoicism say maybe we don't need that external closure?
Well, the core of it, is focusing on what's actually in our control, our thoughts, our actions, our responses.
Not what other people do or
Listen
say.
closely. That's the dichotomy of control. Other people's reasons, whether they apologize, it's external. It's outside our power, mostly.
So waiting for them to give you closure is like handing over the keys to your own peace of mind.
You got it. You're making your emotional well-being dependent on someone else. Stoicism says true freedom, that emotional sovereignty, comes from inside.
Right. It's an internal choice, not a gift you wait for.
That's the fundamental shift.
And the article breaks this down into, 20 lessons, different angles on this. Lesson 1, not every ending comes with an explanation. Seems simple, but hard to swallow sometimes.
Oh, totally. Our minds crave cause and effect, right? We want the why.
Yeah, you want it to make sense. But sometimes there isn't a neat why, or at least not one we'll ever get. And the article points out, clinging to that need keeps you stuck.
Stuck in that loop of why.
Exactly. The real work is internal acceptance, making peace with not knowing everything.
Okay. Then lesson 2, the futility of rewriting the past. We all do that, don't we? Play it back, wish we'd said something different.
Constantly. But Marcus Aurelius, you quoted him earlier, forget everything else. You were born not to be turned by external things, trying to mentally change the past. That's being turned by it.
So focusing on what could have been just distracts from.
Yeah, it anchors you back there. It stops you from dealing with the present and, moving forward. Letting go isn't wiping the slate clean. It's accepting it happened and focusing on your choices now.
Got it. Lesson 3 then hits on some questions will never be answered. That feels uncomfortable. We want resolution.
Deeply uncomfortable for most of us. We want the puzzle complete. But this ties back to the Stoic idea about suffering.
That it's our judgment about things, not the things themselves.
Exactly. Obsessing over unanswered questions keeps those painful judgments alive. It fuels the fire.
So chasing absolute clarity can actually block peace.
Ironically, yes. Accepting uncertainty, allowing some ambiguity, that's where the calm comes in.
Which leads to lesson 4. Hoping the person who hurt you will fix it is often pointless.
Seems logical, maybe. Like they broke it, they should fix it with an apology or something.
Yeah, it feels like they hold the key.
But relying on them keeps you hooked into their power over your emotions. The Stoic take is self-reliance and healing. It's your job.
Your responsibility. Oof. Okay, lesson 5 talks about closure as disguised control. Wanting answers to feel less chaotic.
Yeah, absolutely. Painful events make us feel powerless, right? So seeking closure, understanding the why, can feel like regaining some control over the narrative.
Making sense of it gives you a handle on it.
But again, Stoicism says true control is internal. Your reactions, your judgments. Trying to control the external, like getting someone to explain themselves perfectly, often just leads to more frustration.
So chasing that external control distracts from building internal strength.
That's the idea. You're looking outside for what needs to be built inside.
And that links to lesson 6, right? Chasing closure stalls your next chapter, using it as an excuse not to move on.
It can be, yeah. A subtle form of avoidance. I can't move forward until I get answers.
But maybe the moving forward part is just scary on its own.
Could be. And that lack of closure becomes a convenient reason to stay put. Remember Marcus Aurelius again. Begin. To begin is half the work. Break the inertia.
Don't let the waiting become the new normal.
Right. Don't postpone your own growth.
Lesson 7 is powerful. Their silence doesn't reflect your worth. It's so easy to take ghosting or lack of explanation personally.
So easy to think, wasn't I even worth a conversation?
Yeah.
But the article nails it. Their silence, their inability to communicate, that's about their capacity, their issues, not your value.
It's about them, not me. Okay. Need to remember that one.
We all do. Separate their actions from your self-worth.
Then lesson 8 is kind of tricky. Sometimes closure is just another form of holding on. Wanting answers keeps you connected.
It's a sharp insight. That need for a final word, a final understanding. It can keep you tethered to the situation, to the person, resisting the finality of it.
Like keeping the door cracked open, even if it hurts.
Exactly. Stoicism talks about non-attachment, not indifference, but not letting your peace depend on specific outcomes or people.
Yeah.
Seeking closure can sometimes be the attachment.
Preventing you from actually truly letting go with self-respect.
Mm-hmm.
Lesson 9 is super practical. Waiting for closure delays your life. Simple but stark.
It really is. Time, energy, they're limited. Pouring them into waiting for something outside your control, that's time and energy not spent on your life, your healing, your future.
Your peace is on pause, waiting for someone else's permission slip.
Which they might never give. You have to actively choose it yourself. Your well-being can't be held hostage.
Okay, number 10 is a tough pill. Peace can't be conditional on fairness because life just isn't always fair.
Nope. The Stoics were realists about that. Bad things happen. Injustice occurs. Waiting for the universe to balance the scales before you allow yourself peace. You could be waiting forever.
So, choosing peace despite the unfairness.
That's the liberating move. Acceptance isn't approval, it's just acknowledging reality and deciding your inner state won't be dictated by external unfairness.
Wow. Okay. Lesson 11. Closure is often really about needing validation, wanting to hear, you mattered.
That's often underneath it, isn't it? That need to feel seen, acknowledged.
But the article says
Yes.
we can give that to ourselves.
Yes. External validation feels good, sure, but it's fickle. It depends on others. Building your own internal sense of worth, acknowledging your own experience and value, that's solid. That's resilient.
You don't need their stamp of approval to know you mattered.
You really don't. You affirm it yourself.
And lesson 12 builds on that. Your pain is valid, even unacknowledged. It's real, even if they never say, I hurt you.
Absolutely critical. Your feelings are your reality. Waiting for someone else to validate your pain before you start healing gives them immense power.
Power over your internal world.
Exactly. Your pain is real, period. Allowing yourself to feel it, acknowledge it yourself, that's step one. Don't wait for external validation.
Lesson 13 makes a great distinction. Rumination and reflection. Replaying versus learning.
Yeah, that Seneca quote, to be everywhere is to be nowhere, nails rumination. Just spinning your wheels, stuck in negative loops.
Going over the same ground again and again.
Without getting anywhere constructive. Reflection is different. It's looking back to understand, to learn, to grow. It has a purpose.
So gotta ask yourself, am I learning here or just looping?
Good question to ask. Are you processing or just obsessing?
Then 14 suggests chasing closure can be avoiding grief, a way to skip the messy feelings.
It can be. Grief is hard work. It's painful. Focusing on getting answers, getting that closure, can feel more active, more manageable maybe, than just sitting with the sadness or anger.
Like a distraction from the actual mourning process.
But you can't really bypass grief. The Stoics knew you have to process emotions, not just push them away. Allowing the grief is part of healing. Closure might come later, after the grieving.
Okay. Lesson 15 brings us back to basics. Responding versus controlling. Wanting closure to feel in control again.
Right. Things feel out of control, so you grasp for that explanation, that apology, to feel like you've got a handle on it.
But Epictetus says, make the best use of what is in your power, which is...
Your response, your thoughts, your actions now, that's where the real power lies, not in trying to force an outcome or control someone else's behavior.
Focus on your reaction, not manipulating the situation.
That's Stoic resilience in a nutshell.
Lesson 16 is a bit of a downer, maybe. Even if you got closure, it might not heal you. We pin so much hope on it.
We do. We imagine that one conversation will fix everything, erase the hurt.
The magic bullet.
But healing isn't usually like that. As the article says, and Marcus Aurelius reinforces, assemble your life yourself, action by action. It's an internal building process.
So even the perfect closure might not be the cure-all we think it is.
It might help, it might provide some relief, but the deep healing, that's still an inside job, day-by-day actions.
And 17 follows logically. Chasing closure keeps you emotionally tied. Making peace conditional keeps you connected.
Yeah, if you're moving on, depends on them giving you something. You're still linked. You haven't fully untangled,
Still waiting for them.
which means you haven't fully reclaimed your emotional independence. True freedom starts when you decide to move forward, answers or no answers.
Okay. 18 is about shifting from being right to finding release, letting go of the need to win or prove your point.
Oh, the ego loves to be right, doesn't it? To have the last word, to show them.
Yeah, win the breakup, win the argument.
But that keeps you stuck in the conflict, stuck in the narrative.
Yeah.
The Stoic goal isn't winning, it's inner peace, freedom,
Yeah.
release.
So letting go of being right is actually freeing.
Immensely. Your peace is worth more than winning that argument in your head.
19 is a kind reminder. There's no timeline for healing.
Thank goodness for that one.
Mm.
Society sometimes pressures us, Aren't you over it yet?
Yeah, like it's a race.
But it's not. It's personal, it's messy, goes back and forth. The article talks about a return to self, not a deadline. Be patient.
Healing takes the time it takes.
Exactly. Be compassionate with yourself.
And the final one, 20, is pure realism. Some people are incapable of giving closure.
Brutal truth, sometimes they just can't or won't. Lack of emotional maturity, self-awareness, capacity, whatever the reason.
So waiting for something they literally can't provide is futile.
Utterly. Accepting their limitations, even if it's disappointing, frees you to stop waiting and focus on your own path. Don't base your healing on their capacity.
Wow. Okay, so pulling all these threads together, the big takeaway really is that title, isn't it? You don't need closure, you need release.
That sums it up beautifully. It reframes the whole thing. It's not passive reception, it's active choice.
That phrase the article used, emotional sovereignty, finding closure within.
Yes, taking ownership of your healing, recognizing that you have the power to move forward.
Even if chapters feel unfinished.
Especially then. That takes courage, but that's where the freedom lies. Not in demanding a neat ending from the world or others, but in deciding to turn the page yourself.
It definitely makes you rethink that initial, almost desperate need for answers.
It shifts the focus inward. The power isn't out there waiting to be given to you. It's right here.
Yeah. And maybe for you listening, one of these lessons really hit home. Maybe the idea about control, or validating your own pain, or accepting limitations.
Worth reflecting on which one resonates. And, Stoicism itself offers such a practical toolkit for these kinds of emotional challenges. It's worth exploring further if this clicked.
Absolutely. It's about reclaiming your agency on your emotional journey. So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. What if that release you're looking for isn't something you have to chase or wait for? What if it's a choice you can make right now for yourself, something to think about?